Very good morning to all. I am Senthilkumar, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, SNS College of Technology. Here I am explaining a case study on fluid as important cutting medium in stone industry. So this case study is mainly focusing on how water is being utilized rather than seeing very technical parameter. So it's a very introduction case study to the third semester second year mechanical students. So here focus is on how the water is being utilized effectively for technical growth. Okay. So my dear students, you would have studied about design thinking course in your junior semester itself. So which is having 5 stages, and in the 5 stages are empathize, ideate, define, prototype and test. In this 5 stage, iterative processes are ideate and prototype and test, and the empathize and define process are interrelated, and define and ideate process are interrelated. What is meant by empathize? Seeing the problem from lower end to the higher end, especially go to the head from the shoe level of the customer and who are working in that product also. So the people working in that product have with lot of accident. During the video you can see the clamping method, they cut the stone. Ancient days, especially before 14th century, they met lot of accident. They could not get accuracy. The cost was very high. The labor was very huge during that time, and it cannot be done very easily in all the ambient. They need all the setup and all the need in a particular time, and manpower also. It was very tough to manage. The customer also not satisfied. Very important parameters, customer satisfaction. The emphasis part. In the manual method, they got the final finish like this. It took a lot of time to make this single cube from a granite industry, and they cannot make the marble finish also. So later they get some idea from customer. They want the product like this, high finish stone having lot of very free surface, having very smooth surface also. It is very useful for their end user purpose as a customer. They feel like that. They posted this query to the manufacturer of the stone. They taken into account because customers' feedback is very important in the empathize stage. They came to in the manager level. They came to define. We know that define having the 4 W's. What are the 4 W's? What, why, where, when. So based on these 4 W's, they define the problem that a customer need high, accurate and high finishing product. So that is what the final question arises, final solution question arises from the empathize, and they defined it also properly. So they started thinking different way. The water is not cutting your hand while we are washing. The water is not cutting the plate when we are washing it because of ambient pressure. So they started thinking. So they formulated an idea by seeing the videos which are going to come. The video, and they started some thinking about the abrasive material along with water, because water can create more kinetic energy but cannot cut the material. So here cutting is very important. So with the influence of water and with the help of the abrasives, you can see the gas cutting which is shown. This is the abrasive material which is more harder than the stone. We are going to cut the stone, right? The stone is harder, so the cutting material should be harder than the stone, then only it can cut. So they think of using water, because which will consume the heat generated while cutting. That's a major advantage. Secondly, which can carry the abrasive to the cutting area. So they chosen the abrasive which is harder than the stone. The abrasive is chosen. So again they came into the idea of formulating an idea from the video of gas cutting. So there they see the gas is cutting which is not able to use cut the what we have chosen stone. The stone is harder. So they started thinking about that one. They created an idea. Why don't we mix water and abrasive to cut the stone? Because the stone having harder, more harder than the stone which is abrasive. They formulated an idea, that is that we are showing here. The water is coming along with water, the abrasive is mixed. The abrasive going along with water with high impact jet, with high velocity and more pressure over the impact area, the cutting area, which cuts the metal, which cuts the stone. So that is what required. the conversion of energy from potential to kinetic energy to high velocity and required pressure is done by the nozzle, which are going to study in thermodynamics as well as fluid mechanics in machineries. Okay. So the nozzle which creates the required pressure, velocity, and ultimately kinetic energy conversion. So they based on this idea, they are going to the prototype. Prototype which consumes a lot of cost. They first create the bill of material, and after finding the resource, they make a prototype. From prototype, you can see they studied in a cutting space of various cutting thickness, 1 mm to 15 mm, 20 mm. So they made it very clear and cut it here. You can see the videos.
Therefore, it's possible to achieve high working speed and precision.
So this is more applicable in automobile industries. So finally, we have to go for at least final stage of testing. What is the testing? We have to test whether our product what we have conceived till the 4th stage is working or not. So that has been tested in a granite industry as well with adhesive. What is the importance here? Which cuts the stone. After cutting, you can see that required shape is cut. No wastage is there, like human power. Clamping is provided here. So we will get the final finish as shown in the video, like more accurate and more surface finish. And like this also marbles, they cut single segment like for 15 mm thick, 20 mm, whatever the customer finally asks. So finally, based on the design thing, they have evaluated to the required shape of